Hello everyone, welcome to my ADA standards video presentation. This is the training video. I know there have been a lot of concerns about what ADA stands for, what it means to be in compliance with ADA standards, and how to be empathetic to those with disabilities. Now bear with me, it's allergy season, I have a stuffy nose, but we're going to get through this presentation anyway. So first off, what is ADA? The Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law by President George H.W. Bush in 1990. The Americans with Disabilities Act specifies what employers, government agencies, and managers of public facilities, including sport facilities, must do to ensure that people with disabilities are not unfairly excluded from social life. This means that reasonable accommodations must be made in order to make the facility equally accessible to everyone, including those with disabilities. So I'm going to use the term equally accessible many times. It's very important that facilities are equally accessible. So there are 5 ADA sections/titles that facility managers must be aware of. So those 5 ADA sections/titles are Title 1, Employment and Accommodations. Title 2 is Government Services and Public Transportation. Title 3 is Public Accommodation and Commercial Facilities. Title 4 is Telecommunications. Title 5 is Miscellaneous Provisions. So the titles that sport facility managers should be concerned with the most are Title 2 and Title 3. So reasonable accommodations. We need to know what those are. So considering that we are a sport facility, reasonable accommodations must be made toward those with disabilities. So examples of reasonable accommodations could be ramps, railings, hearing devices, signage, handicap parking spaces, elevators, larger bathroom stalls, lowered water fountains, etc. So these reasonable accommodations ensure that people with disabilities have equal access to the facility, just like any other person. So we need to know what the definition of a qualified handicap person is too. So Section 504 states that a qualified handicapped person has a physical or mental impairment which substantially limits one or more major life activities, so that person has to have a record of such an impairment or be regarded as having such an impairment. So examples of major life activities include caring for oneself, performing manual tasks, walking, seeing, hearing, speaking, breathing, learning, and working. So these major activities are important to think about when it comes to implementing accommodations for people with disabilities. So ADA compliance, I mentioned that before. It's very important that we know what that is. So it's essential that sport and facility managers ensure that their facility is ADA compliant. In order to be ADA compliant, a checklist should be created to ensure that mandates of the ADA are followed and implemented by the facility. Under ADA requirements, all places of public accommodation must remove all architectural barriers, including structural communication barriers, as long as doing so is readily achievable. So what does readily achievable mean? Well, it means being easily accomplished and able to be carried out without much difficulty or expense. So it's vital for sport facilities to be in compliance with ADA standards that provide people with equal access to facilities. Again, equal access. So Title III comes into play when it comes to compliance. Title III states, no individual shall be discriminated against on the basis of disability in the full and equal enjoyment of the goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, or accommodations of any place of public accommodation by any person who owns, leases, or operates a place of public accommodation. So also these accommodations must be implemented safely. We don't want to risk anybody's health when we are implementing these accommodations. So how would I as a facility manager go about implementing these accommodations, or how would we as an organization or facility go about implementing these accommodations? Well, here's some examples of how we could implement those. So we could install ramps or handicap parking spaces that are closest to the building as possible for people with wheelchairs, curb cuts on sidewalks and building entrances for people with wheelchairs, repositioning shelves, having a lift to help people get in and out of the pool to ensure that people don't fall, widened entrances, bathroom stalls, and changing rooms. This gives people with wheelchairs a little bit more room, installing grab bars on toilet stalls and in the pool to ensure that people don't fall, raised toilet seats, Some more lowered sinks, water fountains, and towel dispensers for people with wheelchairs. They're obviously going to need those. Elevators with bigger buttons, braille signage for those who are blind, and signage that shows where all of the handicap accessible rooms are. Wheelchair assistance for those who need it. Offer assistance for people in wheelchairs, obviously, if they need assistance. So there's some other important points to consider. When we are implementing reasonable and readily achievable accommodations, it's essential to put ourselves in the shoes of those who have disabilities. So put yourself in the shoes of a person who's in a wheelchair. What would help them the most? What accommodations would help them the most and be able to access the facility in equal manner as those who aren't disabled? It's vital that we are empathetic to those who have disabilities. So how can we be empathetic to those who have disabilities? To be empathetic to handicapped individuals who use our facility to exercise, we need to allow them to share their thoughts. This can give them the opportunity to share which accommodations can be implemented. So people with disabilities must have meaningful involvement and decision-making power regarding rules and policies that impact our daily lives. Input provided by the disability community must be respected and used by state agencies. We must listen to them. We must listen to their input when implementing these accommodations. So be understanding of others. Don't judge people by their disability. Smile when you see those individuals come through the door and assist them when possible. Everyone deserves equal access to our facility in order to exercise. So a person with a disability has a right to equally access our facility and enjoy our facility just like any other person. So everyone deserves a positive experience. Positive experience. Positive experiences are great for everyone because you know what that means? If people have positive experiences, they're going to want to come back. So make sure that we are friendly to everyone. So a useful resource would be the ADA website. It provides a whole bunch of standards and it may answer some of the questions that you may have about ADA. And all images are property of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and they were found on Google Images. And here's my reference page. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, but I hope this cleared up a lot of the confusion regarding ADA. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a great day.